Thank you very much. Welcome to everybody. Ari asked me to give a brief introduction. I am Stu Ingus, here at the chairman of the Venable Law Firm, and more importantly, a longtime friend of Ari's. I'll get into that in a second. But wanted to welcome all of you. I guess I was asking Ari, is this the first of these conferences or the second? There was a more narrow one for just the coalition, as many of you came to in San Francisco, but this is really the first of this conference, CyberNext DC. Hopefully, in looking at the agenda, I suspect it's not going to be the last. And with this great group of organizations, all that are relatively new and in one of the, if not the most important areas of kind of policy and development facing the country and the world. We moved to this office space in early March. We've got about 500 lawyers or so and staff in this building. And really the great thing about this building is our ability to host events like this. I think in addition to the great speakers and everything, it's just a wonderful facility, as I'm sure you can tell already, but as you'll see in being here, just we get great light and interaction. So we're very happy to be able to host all of you. Just briefly, a little more on kind of the firm and our practice and cybersecurity. So I co-head the data privacy and security group here, and we've for years handled many of the major breaches as a legal matter and a policy and legislative matter, dating all the way back to the first public breaches of Lexis and ChoicePoint and Target, and you could go on forever. So we've handled all sorts of angles like that, and as the world keeps evolving, we've done that before the Congress, FTC, state AGs. Things kept getting more specialized, and so we said, well, you know, we really need data security is just such a small subset, actually, of the broader cyber issue, and we really need to have, given the strength of the practice there, a comparable and frankly better cyber offering as we evolved. And having known Ari really my whole professional career, I kept saying, just tell me when you're leaving government because you know, you would do great corollary with our practice. And lo and behold, one day he called me and was ready to follow the ethical rules and tell people he was going to talk to us and then talk to us. And so we had the privilege of him joining and then bringing with him people, you know, John Banghart and Bree and Jeremy, who are all here today. And to leverage really actually as non-lawyers kind of the consulting practice. And I think that part of the reason to highlight that is these issues really are a cross-section of policy, technology, and law in a pretty unprecedented way. So the event really is also taking that holistic view across all of these areas, and wanted to just give a special thanks to the kind of co-hosts and sponsors, the Coalition for Cybersecurity Policy and Law, obviously led and coordinated by Ari, the Cyber Threat Alliance, led by its president, Michael Daniel. Mike, nice to see you. And George Mason University Scalia School of Law and a National Security Institute led by its founder, Jamil Jaffer. So thank all of you. Thank all of the speakers for what's going to be a great event. I know you've got some great speakers, several great keynotes that I'm going to try and sneak in and out of, even as a non-member, just because it's in the building and great stuff. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ari. But again, thank you all for coming and welcome to Venable.
Thank you, Stu. As you can see, I'm very fortunate to have a chairman that cares so much about this work and this practice. And I think that it's really helped us to form as a coalition, and I think it's helped the community a great deal as well. It's really a pleasure to kick off this conference today. As Stu said, the coalition had an event that we did similarly in San Francisco last year, and I think this year, when in thinking about doing it, we really wanted to figure out a new way to engage with our partners in this space, knowing that the Cyber Threat Alliance and that the National Security Institute at George Mason Law were moving forward as new entities in this space, and we had such an overlap in the people that worked with us, worked together. It really seemed like a natural fit to try and do it together. We have a great lineup for the day. We're really looking forward to engaging on these issues. We're trying to leave plenty of time for Q&A, so we hope that you will engage with us throughout the day. At the end of the day, we have a cocktail reception on the roof that is going to be spectacular, so we hope that you will stay for that as well. I'd like to really particularly thank the members of the Coalition for Cybersecurity Policy and Law for their work on the event and their support for the work that has happened at the Coalition. They are Arbor Networks, AT&T, CA Technologies, Cisco, CyberReason, Intel, McAfee, Microsoft, Mozilla Foundation, Palo Alto Networks, Red Hat, Rapid7, and Symantec. And when we founded the Coalition last year, we pledged to work on a handful of issues in depth, and I think we've stuck to that pledge. We've helped policymakers think through the challenges related to vulnerability disclosure. We've commented on work and worked on privacy and other issues related to cyber threat information sharing. We've provided expertise in the discussion on policies related to Internet of Things and even developed the first of its kind threat profile for distributed denial of service attacks under the NIST cybersecurity framework. We worked on a wide range of issues related to promoting cybersecurity risk management around the world. For example, we've had conversations with regulators around moving away from checkbox regulations towards risk management. And more recently, we've promoted language in the latest round of NAFTA negotiations to promote risk management frameworks that we hope can lead to language that will work for a wide range of trade negotiations into the future. Through this work, we found that the concept of cyber risk management is really not well understood around the world. In talking to regulators, we have a lot of them say, is that really how it works? In discussing how and why it's so important to have this open dialogue between the private sector and the public sector, particularly when the private sector owns the critical infrastructure, but even beyond that as well, since a lot of the solutions and so many of the solutions in this space come from the private sector. So in doing that work, we've decided that what text can we use to show and to go over the history of this and why we ended up here. And really, we never had something, we couldn't find something that was succinct in this area and really got to the point quickly about what cyber risk management is today and how it works in a voluntary way, even and how it works with regulations when that's necessary as well. And so today we're putting out this paper, building a national cybersecurity strategy. So in areas for countries that want to build new national cybersecurity strategies, voluntary and flexible frameworks for people to be able to use in the coalition and beyond to talk to policymakers and others about how risk management actually works around the world. We give some examples of how it's working in many places. So we hope that people will use this paper and that it will help to move forward the idea of cyber risk management and help to put more cybersecurity tools in place around the world. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Mimecast's Senior Vice President and Chief Trust Officer, Mark French. Mimecast was actually the first company to join the coalition after we were founded. So it really got us moving along, showing that we were going to be a success. And Mark has recently joined after many, many years of, many people in this room have worked with him in different capacities, but many, many different years of work in the cybersecurity industry. So we're very lucky to have him as part of the coalition at this point. And he's going to introduce our first keynote speaker. Mark.